New phone just dropped. This is Vivo's iQOO, as much as I hate to say it that way, 15 Ultra. And it's actually the first Ultra phone that's not pretending to be a camera king. This one, it's here for performance. Pure, unapologetic speed. Now, of course, I'll show you a few camera samples anyways, I can't help myself, but let's be honest. That's not why we're here. So, first impressions, gorgeous. Especially this black version called 2077, which sounds less like a color and more like a Cyberpunk DLC. There's also a bluish variant called 2049. Apparently, we're naming colors after dystopian futures now. Weird times. Anywho, the black has this really cool 3D-like pattern that only shows itself at certain angles. It's subtle and classy. It does not scream gamer. It just quietly says, I bench over 3 million on Antutu. And then there's the cooling fan. Not just a fan, a serious looking fan. The vent design itself looks like it belongs on a small spaceship. Now, the Ultra fan on the Honor Win, which by the way did prove to be really helpful in my stress tests, looked enthusiastic, but this one looks like it has a license to operate heavy machinery. And we'll see very soon if it backs up that attitude. Now, on the other side, we get very sensitive, very responsive shoulder buttons, gaming triggers that actually feel premium, not clicky toys, real, tactile, and fast. And by the way, good old notification light is back. It's in between the cameras, and it looks lit, pun intended. But seriously, it's really cool. Not too bright, unlike what it looks like in the video. It's also highly customizable, both in terms of color and apps. Under the hood, obviously we get the latest Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, 16 or 24 gigs of LPDDR5X Ultra Pro RAM, and I'm not really sure what Ultra Pro means anymore. I think we're just stacking cool words now. We also get Vivo's own esports chip Q3, whatever that is, and of course 7400 milliamps of silicon carbon battery, which is moderately enormous these days. The display, it's beautiful, bright and sharp and smooth, everything you'd expect from a flagship Ultra that can run at up to 144 Hz on Ultra HD resolution. That's nice. Now speakers, for the first time in Vivo history, they're actually really good. They're not quite at Honor flagship levels or the Redmi K90 Pro Max territory, but they still sound very rich and clear with decent depth and high clarity. No complaints here. But enough talking here. Let's quickly get the camera samples out of the way so we can get to the good stuff. Daytime shots are crisp, clear, and bright. Nothing to praise or roast here. Even peeping in won't reveal any horrible secrets. There are natural distinctions between objects and things that have been blended in together, so that's good. Same goes about a portrait shot under the same circumstances. The background bokeh does look a bit artificial to me though, and I'm not even sure why. Also, there's an option to get a little bit closer natively. There's a tiny bit of a white halo above the shoulder here though when you zoom in. But subject separation is not bad at all though. I'll have to give it that. So it's time for a couple of shots in the dark. Now, this is where things get tricky. Looking okay at first glance. Telephoto's different though. Unlike the OnePlus 15 on the right, it does not have that yellow tint, but light control is definitely worse. Back to the main sensor. This shot almost made me mad because of how awful it looks. So when you zoom in on it, it's obviously beyond comparison, but this wasn't normal, so I checked the metadata, and I'm not even going to try to explain this. This is just a weird software bug that clearly did not happen with a telephoto sensor. Alright, so when I said good stuff, I obviously meant performance, since this is the first performance-focused ultraphone. So naturally, it's going to be 3D Mark's Wildlife Extreme Stress Test with some help from my little friends right here. Now, obviously temperature before anything. So we've got 27.3 on the front. Slightly less. 26.6 or 7-ish on the back. Now, round one is going to be stock behavior. Let's just take a quick look at our cooling fan settings. It's on smart mode and auto control is on. And general performance mode is on balanced mode as well. So let's just pop up 3D Mark real quick. And as you'll notice, the fan is already running. I didn't touch anything. It just does that on its own, since it recognizes 3D Mark as some sort of a game. Speaking of game recognition though, you will notice that once I switch out of 3D Mark, the fan turns off. So it's kind of sad to see that the fan cannot be turned on manually. So even if you put it on fast and turn off auto control, it does turn it on for a few seconds and then it just turns off. On the Honor Win, I was able to turn on the fan whenever I wanted for whatever I wanted, but not on this phone apparently. I've had the fan on under no circumstances apart from gaming so far, so I'm not sure what's going on with that, but at any rate, let's put it back on smart mode, turn on auto control, and switch back to 3D Mark. Fan's going crazy again. All right, let's get right to it then. Wow, that's actually interesting. There's a wild airflow there. All right, let's go. All right, that's the end of round one. Let's just do a quick temperature check. So we've got 47. It's a bit toasty on the front. Hopefully not so much so on the back. Yep, 40, 41, 42. I don't think there's any point checking the temperature here because there's a big airflow. There's another dent right here, if you can see it in the video. But yeah, that's what we got so far. And it's dropping by the second, almost below 40 now. Now, moving on to the scores. 8,000 for our best loop score, 54, almost 5,500 for our lowest loop score, giving us a total of 68% for stability. So far, so good. The chart doesn't look half bad either. Performance has almost been exactly the same right after the 11-minute mark until the very end. And in terms of battery, let's just take a real quick look at it right here. So we went down from 79 to 62. That is disappointing. I have to admit, I did not see that coming at all. We've lost 17% in 20 minutes. At any rate, let's just let it cool down for a minute because science. See you in a bit. All right, the phone has cooled down reasonably, I believe. Let's just check that and see if I'm right. So it's going to be 27 on the back and close to 30 on the front. Yeah, that's good enough. Now we're still on 62%. I'm just going to switch to monster mode real quick. Yep, that's actually what it's called because apparently performance mode wasn't dramatic enough. So monster mode is on. Oh, we got a cool little thing here around the clock that just happened. Okay, now let's just pop 3D Mark open real quick again. Fans on again. All right, let's go. All right, we're done, and this is a disaster. I don't think I've ever been as disappointed with any other phone. Let's just do a quick temperature check, and then we'll talk about the scores and everything. So 47 on the front and 45 approximately on the back. Now about the scores. So unfortunately, monster mode did not seem to help at all. It actually made things a little worse, if anything. We still got 8,000 for our best loop score and 5,147 for our lowest, which gives us a measly 64% for stability. The chart looks like this. Nothing impressive. It's not the most horrible thing either, to be honest, but it's just, you know, when you call it monster mode, you start to expect things, right? Now, in terms of battery, we lost 14% this time. And considering the fact that the scores didn't improve at all either, I think all of this is just the result of crappy software work, to be honest. And I think it may be fixed in the future through updates, hopefully. Now let me just quickly turn off monster mode, more like clown mode. But in all honesty, I think that's it for this one. I was actually planning on doing a quick battery drain check, but after seeing this, you know what, I don't even feel like it anymore. But anyways, to sum it all up, overall beautiful phone. Honestly, I don't think Vivo has ever done a better job in this category. So, design, excellent. Display and speakers, surprisingly good. Performance, disappointing. Battery, a mess. Camera, alright. And another complaint that I have to make about this phone is OriginOS. It's functional and it's smooth, but aesthetically it's just not as polished as something like ColorOS. It doesn't feel quite as refined. So, all in all, with a heavy heart, I must call this phone a complete failure, at least at this point in time. Also, if you're planning to import this phone, for whatever reason, since it's China only for now, check out my OriginOS globalization tutorial so you don't suffer through notification chaos. And if you enjoyed this one, subscribe, drop a like, all that good stuff, and let me know down in the comments what you think or what you want to see. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. Peace out.